Welcome to the Deep Dive. Our mission, as always, is pretty simple. We take a stack of sources today. It's a bunch of recent tech news digests, articles from places like Digital Trends, TechCrunch, TLDR that you actually shared with us, and we try to pull out the really important stuff, the insights.
Exactly. We're digging into what you sent over to cut through the noise.
Yeah, find those surprising facts for you.
Get you up to speed quickly.
So today, using these reads, we're looking at some pretty major shifts, a lot happening in the tech world.
Definitely. We've got AI basically exploding everywhere, smart glasses making a, unexpected return maybe.
Right. And big moves in self-driving cars, plus, the usual suspects, Google, Apple, Waymo, lots to cover.
It's a packed landscape right now, so this dive should give you that shortcut, help make sense of what these sources are saying about where things are actually heading.
Okay, let's jump right in. The first thing that just screams from these sources is Google I/O. It was an extravaganza, as the outline put it.
Yeah, a total flood of announcements. And the big theme, unsurprisingly, is AI.
It really feels like Google's trying hard to position themselves not just as playing the AI game, but leading it. Like they're saying, hey, we're not just catching up anymore.
That's the narrative these articles definitely push. They detail how Google's weaving AI into, almost everything. Search, Gmail, Chrome, even video calls are getting AI features.
And they're talking about some serious advancements. Gemini 2.5 Pro was mentioned, topping some leaderboards.
Right. But what really jumps out from the sources is this new deep think mode.
Yeah, tell me about that. It sounds intense.
Well, the articles describe it using things like parallel thinking, apparently hitting some really complex benchmarks. Things like mathematical Olympiad problems, the MMMU test, stuff that requires deep reasoning.
So it's not just about writing an email for you, it's about actual problem solving.
Exactly. The insight seems to be less about the scores themselves and more about Google showing progress in how the AI reasons, how it understands complex tasks. That's a big step.
And then there was Jules, the coding agent.
Yeah, an autonomous coding agent. The sources say it can clone code repositories, find and fix bugs.
Yeah.
And they've apparently made it public now.
Wow, okay. Beyond the pure tech, though, the source is really focused on Google's business strategy here. The pricing tiers.
Oh, yeah. That got a lot of ink. This new AI Ultra tier, $250 a month.
Or $125 intro price. Yeah, they're framing it as a sort of luxury AI.
And then the regular AI Pro is rebranded at $20 a month.
So the takeaway seems to be Google is really betting that people, or at least some businesses, will pay a serious premium for the most advanced AI features.
It's a clear bet. They think there's a high-end market ready for this. It's not just a feature add-on. It's a product tier in itself.
And this stuff is rolling out, right? Like AI mode in search.
Yep, hitting all U.S. users. The sources highlight things like multimodal search using images or sound, not just text, plus better reasoning, faster AI overviews right there in your search results.
And apparently people are asking much longer questions now.
Yeah, more complex queries. Google claims, and the sources stress this is a claim to watch, that this will actually drive more traffic to websites, not less. We'll see.
Yeah, that's one to track. They also mention agent mode. Coming soon.
Right. For Chrome Search, the Gemini app, the idea is task automation telling the AI to do multi-step things for you across different apps.
Okay, so AI everywhere from Google, plus other bits like real-time translation in Meet and Project Starline, that 3D video call thing.
Becoming a product, yeah. Google Beam partnering with HP.
It's a lot. A real AI offensive.
Absolutely. Making AI central.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Another theme popping up in these sources was, maybe surprisingly, smart glasses. Google's back in.
Seems like it. After the, let's say, mixed reception to the original Google Glass.
Right. One source even quotes Sergey Brin admitting they, quote, made a lot of mistakes the first time around. So what's different now?
Well, according to the articles, the insight is twofold. First, AI. Heavy Gemini integration for real-time vision analysis translation, getting help contextually.
So the glasses actually do more smart stuff this time.
That's the idea. And second, maybe just as important, design.
Making them not look like, Google Glass.
Exactly. The sources point to partnerships with actual glasses companies like Warby Parker and Gentle Monster to make them more stylish, more wearable.
Okay, that makes sense. Combining the tech with fashion.
And it's not just Google. The sources mention Project Muhan, That's a mixed reality headset with Samsung and Project Aura, an AR prototype from Xreal aimed at developers.
So it's heating up again. This sounds like direct competition for Meta's Ray-Ban specs.
Which are already out there, yeah.
And maybe Apple, if the rumors are true.
Right. So the insight here is that these big players see wearable, hands-free AI, maybe integrated into glasses, as a real potential next step, how we interact with tech without always pulling out a phone.
Interesting. A hands-free future, perhaps?
Could be. Definitely suggests a shift.
Okay, speaking of how we interact with the world, let's talk about moving around in it. Autonomous vehicles. The sources had some pretty starkly contrasting news here.
They really did. On one hand, Waymo. Huge milestone.
10 million paid Robotaxi trips. That's a lot of trips.
It is. But the really striking insight the articles highlighted. They doubled that number, went from 5 million to 10 million in just the last 5 months.
Wow. 5 months. That's rapid acceleration.
It really suggests they're hitting a scaling point. The sources list their cities, SF Bay Area, San Jose, LA, Austin, Phoenix, and plans for Atlanta, Miami, DC. Real expansion.
Okay, so Waymo's soaring. Then you read about Tesla.
Yeah, the contrast is sharp. The sources describe Tesla's Robotaxi launch in Austin as lackluster.
Limited areas, apparently, avoiding complex intersections.
Right. Still restricted to the safest zones, struggling with intersections. So the insight you get putting these side by side is just how incredibly hard autonomous driving is, especially in complex city environments.
It suggests maybe different levels of progress or maybe just different strategies.
Could be both. But based on these reports, Waymo seems to be proving out its tech at scale much faster right now, while the full Tesla Robotaxi vision feels, well, still ways off.
All right, let's pivot again. A different kind of comeback story, this one affecting the app world. Fortnite, it's back.
It is. Back on the U.S. App Store after that very long 5-year ban following the big legal fight with Apple.
So why now? What changed?
Well, the sources explain it comes down to that court ruling,
Yeah.
the one that forced Apple to allow apps to use external payment links to link out.
Ah, okay. And a judge recently pushed Apple on it.
Essentially told them to reinstate Fortnite, or explain why not, yeah. So it's back.
And Epic's already using the new rule, offering cashback for direct payments.
Yep, straight away. Offering incentives to bypass Apple's payment system via those external links.
Yeah.
It's a direct consequence of that ruling.
So this whole saga is actually reshaping things for developers for payments and apps.
Definitely. And the sources noted Apple and Epic agreed no more in-person court stuff is needed for this part, which is interesting too. The key insight is how these legal battles can really change the rules of the game in these huge app stores.
Okay, let's rapid fire a few other interesting bits that popped up in your source pile. Apple's got its own AI plans coming soon, right?
Looks like it. Articles mention they're planning to open up their local AI models, the ones running on your device, to third-party developers.
Through an SPK,
Yeah.
a developer kit.
Yeah, starting at their Worldwide Developers Conference, WWDC, on June 9th. The insight seems to be Apple wanting unique, powerful AI experiences on their devices, leveraging their hardware.
And maybe making iOS and macOS look more like Vision Pro.
That was mentioned too, yeah. A potential interface overhaul, unifying their look and feel.
Meanwhile, Meta's trying to get startups to use their AI.
With that Llama for Startups program, encouraging adoption of their models.
And this OpenAI news?
Yeah.
Acquiring a device startup.io.
Yeah, for a reported $6.5 billion. That's a big move.
With Janie Ive involved in design.
So the reports say, yeah, Joni Ive and love from. The insight here is OpenAI clearly wants to move beyond just software interfaces. They're looking at hardware, physical devices for their AI.
Interesting. And AI is just showing up everywhere else too, right? Uber Freight, tax prep.
Yep, Uber Freight has Insights AI, an LLM, filed automating tax prep, raised $17 million. Shopify's got AI tools for merchants building stores, writing content.
So the takeaway is AI isn't just fancy chatbots, it's getting baked into business tools across the board.
Exactly. Automating tasks, personalizing services everywhere.
But importantly, the sources also flagged the downsides, the AI hallucinations.
Right, that Chicago Sun-Times example was stark.
Right.
And AI just making up books and authors for a reading list.
It really hammers home that point. Don't trust
Okay.
stuff. Verify it.
Absolutely critical. The sources reinforce that insight. And they also mention the darker side, like scam farms in Southeast Asia using AI.
Yeah, need to be aware of that too.
Requires real vigilance.
Okay, and just quickly, on a more positive non-AI note, there were mentions of healthcare progress.
Yeah, the first successful bladder transplant, which is amazing. And also how 3D printing is pushing personalized medicine forward, custom prosthetics, implants, that kind of thing.
Good to remember, progress happens on many fronts.
For sure. Tangible benefits beyond the digital realm.
So let's try and tie this all together. We've covered a ton based on these sources you brought together. Why should you, listening, care about all this?
Well, it translates directly, right? Potentially faster, maybe smarter information access with things like AI search or agent mode.
New ways to get around with robotaxis may be becoming more common, or interacting with tech via smart glasses. Even changes in how you pay for things in apps, like with Fortnite.
Fundamentally, it points to AI becoming much more integrated into the tools you use every day, automating things, changing how interfaces work.
And critically, maybe the biggest insight is the growing need for you to be discerning, to verify information in this AI-powered world.
Absolutely. Don't just take the AI's word for it.
Okay, we've definitely unpacked a lot today. Google's massive AI push, the return of smart glasses, Waymo's surge, Fortnite's comeback.
Yeah, these sources really paint a picture of incredibly rapid change. AI is the big catalyst, reshaping everything from search to mobility to how apps work.
So here's something to think about based on all this. We heard about AI getting better at reasoning, like with deepthink, and becoming more autonomous, like with Jules or the coming agent mode.
Right.
How might our actual relationship with technology change day to day when it can not just follow instructions, but truly understand complex goals, anticipate needs, and act on them across different apps for us?
What happens when the tech gets that proactive?
Exactly. What new opportunities does that unlock? And maybe what are the challenges or risks we haven't even considered yet with that level of AI autonomy?
Definitely something worth mulling over as these systems evolve.
That feels like a good place to wrap this deep dive based on your sources.
Hope you found this useful, pulling out those key threads. Until next time.